Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about Arcanes versus Absolabs. So a while back I thought of the idea of just comparing what Absolabs and Arcanes are like when they are 22 starred and basically finish scrolling and everything. Now the statistics I'm going to give you in the coming minutes is going to be basically just based off of 22 star, the set effects, the base attack, and everything of that sort. I'm not really going to be going into scrolling too much because the scrolling is more or less the same, so they cancel each other out. Meaning, you know, if you use primes on Arcanes, you can also use primes for the same stats on Absolabs. And same thing for tracing, they give the same amount of stats, so there's really no point in going into that. Mainly I'm just going to be looking into the clean difference, meaning the clean gear difference versus, you know, between Arcanes and Absolabs, and also the set effect that you get from equipping either one, as well as the Star Force, which is also different because of the level difference. So let's get right into it. The first thing we're going to be looking at is the set effect. So for the 5 set effect on Absolabs, we have plus 30 all stats, plus 95 weapon attack, 95 magic attack if you're a mage class, 10% IED, and 30% boss damage. For 5 set Arcanes, we're doing 50 all stats, weapon attack 135, IED 10%, boss damage 30%. Now, for these 5 sets, I don't account for, you know, if you want to use a Absolab hat and not a CRA hat, which I recommend. Definitely use a CRA hat, because if you're going to go Liberate down the line, you're going to need a CRA hat for the 5 set effect on either Absolab or Arcanes. So I would rather just take the hit now on the weapon and just use a 5 set Absolab weapon, shoulder, glove, cape, shoe. So based on this alone, we have a 20 stat increase from using Arcanes instead of Absolab, and 40 attack increase from the two. So next we're going to be comparing the 22 star armor pieces. Weapon is going to be a different calculation, which I'm going to mention after. So for Absolab, we get 131 visible stat, meaning strength, whatever your main stat is. And then we also get 92 attack, and this is for, again, non-weapons, so armor and any accessories, but we're not talking about accessories right now. And gloves get additional 7 attack, so the gloves are just special, I guess. And for Arcanes, for 22 star piece, we get 145 stat plus 106 attack. And again, gloves, same thing, 7 attack as well. And essentially, we get a plus 14 stat and 14 attack difference from the 2 different 22 star pieces. And now we move on to the weapon. And for a weapon, I kind of guesstimated it, and it's not really 100% super accurate. This is just based off of one of my friends' zero weapon, because he recently started his zero weapon and he had this handy. So, you know, special thanks to Lil Dumsum for letting me use this. This is actually his weapon. So essentially, weapon scaling is going to be different based on how much attack your overall weapon has, whether you primed it or whatever else. I won't go into the details here, but there is some sort of difference between priming, overall attack, base attack, and so on and so forth. So just based off of that alone, there is a 14 stat difference. As you notice, it's 161 versus 175 strength. Same thing for dex. And then for attack power, we're looking at around 56 attack, so that's 286 to 342. And magic attack is more or less the same, I guess, if you guys are magic attack. But again, this is, you know, just for this weapon alone, and it could be different for your weapon, and just depending on how much attack it has, it'll scale differently as your Star Force. And now we're going to be looking at the base stats of the Absolab versus Arcanes. And for an Absolab cape versus an Arcane cape, there is a difference of 20 stat and 4 attack. For Absolab gloves versus Arcane gloves, there's a difference of 20 stat versus 4 attack. For Absolab Knight shoe versus Arcane shoe, we have a 20 stat difference and 4 attack difference. So more or less, they're pretty similar on these 3 items. For shoulder is slightly different. We get a whopping 21 stat and 10 attack boost between Arcane and Absolab. And for weapon, again, it's a huge increase, but if you're planning to go Genesis weapon, I would probably just stay with the Absolab two-handed sword so you can have that 5 set effect, plus the CRA hat. And the difference between the 2 items is 40 stat plus 90 attack and plus 10% IED, but again, it's different for every weapon. Some weapons have more difference in attack and stat, others don't. So just gotta look at how much base attack and stat your weapon has. But the 10% ID should be the same throughout. And now here is essentially a summary of the comparisons. And basically it broke down into stat, attack, and IED. And for stat, we get a 20 stat set effect, plus 14 stat times 4 pieces of armor, plus 14 weapon for star forcing, plus 20 for the cape base, plus another 20 for glove, and plus another 20 for shoe, and 21 for shoulder, and 40 stat for weapon. So this is a accumulated difference of 211 stats total. And this is just for the difference of 22-star Absolab versus a 22-star piece of Arcane. You know, set effect and everything included. And for attack, we have a 40 set effect, plus 14 times 4, plus 56 attack from weapon star forcing. Again, this will be different based on your weapon and scaling and everything, but you know, we'll just play 56 for now. Cape 4, glove 4, shoe 4, shoulder 10, weapon is going to be 90, and again, this is going to be different based on how much base attack your weapon has. And for a grand total, we have 264 attack. So, and also we have the 10% IED weapon base, which is not a super huge deal, but you know, that's that. So essentially from a 22-star Absol and a 22-star Arcane, it's going to be a difference of 211 stats plus 264 attack. Whether it's worth or not is going to depend on you and what your budget is, and going to depend on how much it costs to go Arcanes versus Absolab in your particular world. But you know, these are the numbers, and you guys can just decide on your own if you guys want to go Arcanes or not. And then lastly, we have a summary but with flame estimates. And the reason I didn't include this in the original summary in the previous page is, you know, flames are going to be different for the player. So it's just very hard to put a exact number in there. So roughly, I'm just going to estimate we have an armor stat of 40 stats additional each from a level 160 item to a level 200 item. So just from cape, glove, and shoe, we have a total of 120 stats. Again, this is a rough ballpark. It might be more, it might be less, depending on how you flame your gear. Weapon attack, and this is particularly just for a two-handed sword. We have a T7 attack flame from a 160 item versus a T7 attack flame from a 200 item, and that's 106 versus 182, so a plus 76 attack difference. And if you guys want to go with this flame estimate, you guys can, and you guys can just add on to whatever the previous page was. So 211 stat plus 120 stat, and then 264 plus 76 attack for, you know, your grand total. But for me, I'm just going to keep it separate and let you guys decide on your own. So yeah, Hope you guys found this video helpful. Be sure to subscribe if you guys like seeing content like this, and let me know what you guys want to see next, if there are any other comparisons you guys want to see. But I feel like this is a pressing topic that I kind of want to, talk about for a bit. So yeah, that's it for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.